all of you are working on passing this course, and if you put in the effort, which I know you will, I'm sure you're going to pass it. But right now, before you actually pass it, you have, I guess, the potential to pass. Okay, you're not actually passed, but you have the potential. So having potential is something, but no one would say that the potential situation is as good as the actual situation. We're not going to give you a grade now, even if we could figure out what that grade was, simply because you have the potential for a particular grade. So if that's true, why would anybody say that potentially having criteria needed for full moral status should be enough to count for someone to have full moral status? But that's what we learn people actually say in the next section of the text. Some people, our text says, hold that it is potential for these functions that is morally critical. They say that once the genetic code for the human being is determined, the eventual development of the critical function is determined. Barring some injury or other untoward event, the capacity will eventually emerge. In death, one loses potential when one loses capacity irreversibility. At the beginning of life, the potential is present long before the actual capacity. It is present at conception or soon thereafter. If it is potential for an individual to develop higher brain, whole brain, or circulatory function that is morally critical, then full moral standing would arise once that potential has been established. So maybe you see the position here, which seems to be counterintuitive to what the example we just gave. Does this make any sense? Is having moral value different than other things, like getting a grade? So that if you're potentially a person with full moral standing, then that's enough, okay? Proponents don't exactly say that. If you go back in, if you remember the passage a little strongly, they talk about the fact that the reason for all this is a genetic code. The genetic code is unique for each individual, and it's present, and it's working itself out. So it's not exactly just a potential, some sort of vague potential, which people sometimes complain about, but it's the particular unique and individual potential that only this individual, this developing human being has, and no other human being has this potential. But then if you start to claim that genetic code is what gives full moral sense, that sounds a little bit like saying it's being human. We're back to that problem. It's a fact. It's a description about you. It's not morally valuable. It's just something that happens to be true. Okay? So we've got a pretty good question here that you might be thinking about. Is DNA unique and special? Is it just a descriptive fact about you? Or is that better than picking out some other sort of critical feature as thinking that each of us has moral value?